We're finally here. It's game day for the 11-time national champion UConn women. You're locked on.
You are Locked On UConn, your daily podcast on the UConn Huskies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On UConn your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Before we dive into today's show, I want to take a moment to share some quick news. Thanks to fantastic guests like Emily Adams, Joe Arruda, my insightful co-host on Tuesdays and Thursdays, Dan Meehan from Exit 68, and some great interviews with Eric Riva. October was our biggest month. November is trending in that same direction. Our community is growing fast, and it's all thanks to listeners like you. Special shout out to our everydayers. We appreciate you so much. And finally, here's something that makes me really proud is every time we grow, we're able to give back to the community. We're giving 10% of our revenue to Bleeding Blue for Good. That goes to our NIL collective, and another 10% to the Husky Ticket Project. That means every follow, download, and subscription helps support UConn athletics and sends kids to experience the excitement of UConn basketball and football in areas where relatively they probably wouldn't get the opportunity. So that's what we're excited about going forward. So if you're enjoying this content, please take a second to subscribe, follow, wherever you listen to your audio. Together, we're building something special and helping make a real difference for Husky fans everywhere. Thanks for making Locked On UConn your first listen every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Okay, I thought it would be a good idea today to start the show with going through the team. We've talked about this opportunity that is in front of the UConn women to go for their 12th national championship in Geno Auriemma's 40th and likely historic season of breaking the wins record in just a few weeks. But I wanted to just kind of like we've talked about this ad nauseum. Nobody is more excited about the start of basketball season than me, because I can finally talk about what we see on the court and not make these overall generalizations based off previous performance or recruiting rankings, everything that goes with it. So to kick things off, you always got to start with she who steers the drink for UConn, Paige Bueckers. She returns for her 5th season with UConn, fully recovered and ready to make a big impact. Paige is one of the biggest stars in college basketball and enters this season as the runaway favorite for National Player of the Year. Last season, despite playing out of position, she averaged 21.9 points, 5.2 rebounds, and 3.8 assists per game. We saw in the exhibition about Paige's IQ, her skill set, her leadership makes her that generational player, someone that Geno Auriemma knows he can rely on, and someone that he truly has a hard time not playing unless they're up by a lot of points. And it's not just with her individual talent. It's about how she leads this team. And it's exciting for UConn fans to see her in a season where she comes back fully recovered from injury and potentially to be paired up more consistently with Azzi Fudd as she is coming back from her long anticipated injury recovery. So that backcourt duo has been anticipated for years. And if they stay healthy at the end of the year, it could be the chemistry that helps elevate UConn to that championship level we all aspire them to be. I think they're championship level with Azzi. I think they are elite level. I think they're a championship level without Azzi. I think they're elite championship level with her, to be clear. But to clear things up, let's talk about some of the other guards. And we're going to go guards, and we're going to go forwards and centers. Then we're going to talk about the freshman class. Then we're going to kind of dive into why I believe Sarah Strong is absolutely the next great. It stems from reading articles and talking to some people down here in North Carolina where she's from, and quoting some of Geno and his staff when they recruited her. So we'll get to that later in the program. But back to the present day, the guards. Paige is obviously setting the tone, but KK Arnold is back after a breakout freshman year. She didn't play in the exhibition, but I think she's playing in the opener against BU. I think she's going to prove herself as the high-energy, defensive-minded player that started 33 games last year. She averaged 8.9 points, 3.2 assists, and an impressive 2.5 steals per game. I think that those numbers may go up. In particular, I think the steal numbers may go up. I think she's going to be more active than ever. With more depth, you can be a little more aggressive, not worry about fouling. She's quick, aggressive, has a ton of grit. I think she's earned her place on the preseason all-conference roster. Next to her is Ashlyn Shade, who I feel like is going to also make a nice sophomore leap. She made a major impact last season as well. Named Big East Freshman of the Year, averaged 11 points. I think that's going to jump up to about 14 or 15 points this year. Averaged 3.5 rebounds per game. That could jump up to about 5 or 6. She shot 48% from the field. I think she's going to probably shoot over 50% this year. But it wouldn't bother me if she didn't, because I think there are going to be times where we're going to need her to be more of a volume scorer and not worry so much about the efficiency. But I think she's going to bring versatility and scoring that rounds out this guard lineup. And then we bring in Caitlin Chen into the mix, a graduate transfer from Princeton. Chen brings veteran leadership and valuable experience, having played under UConn alum Carla Berube. As the first transfer addition since 2022, Caitlin is ready to step up and take an immediate role to kind of steady the ship. I talked about that. I think the guard rotation is really packed with talent, but I think having Caitlin is really going to buoy what Geno wants to do and allow Paige to play off the ball a little bit, just to give her a blow. Like, so she doesn't always have to facilitate and just be a straight scorer, just be a straight bucket, because that's what she is. UConn's backcourt is primed to be one of the best in the nation. When we return, we're going to talk about the forwards and centers. We're going to talk about the freshman class and have a great time doing it, because it's game day, guys. We're getting that much closer to the tip of the 2024 UConn women coming up after the break. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat the financial flavors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually deserved in high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.5% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on any IRA. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth individual. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. What's up, NFL fans? Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL, all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats and the live play-by-play and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. It's actually pretty intuitive and incredible. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. You're back on Locked On UConn. Sorry, man, we had some technical difficulties there. Some of the buttons on my board here got a little discombobulated, so I apologize for giving you intro music when I was supposed to transition away from the last segment. So anyway, we're back on. We're talking about the team, the players that are going to move this team forward and whatnot. Let's talk about the forwards and centers to the bigs. I'm really excited about Jenna Elelfi. She's finally ready to make her UConn debut. As I mentioned in the exhibition recap, we did the live exhibition show. She looked like she was trying to do things a million miles an hour. And as Geno has talked about in some of his media availability, that's to be expected. I mean, she's a redshirt freshman. She's basically hasn't played basketball for 2 years. She's 6'5". She's a great athlete. She's fully recovered from an Achilles tear. And honestly, I think she's trying to get it all back all at once. And I know that's something that he said, but you can see it. Like, there's no other way to put it. She has that size and athleticism to really bolster this front court. And there's excitement about her, but she needs to clean up a little bit about her game, getting the ball up high, making sure that people can't, slap down the ball, the shorter guards, because that's the kind of stuff that we're going to expect from Caitlin Chen from teams that we play, to go down there in Ashland to kind of, knock away, make some deflections because they put it in front of you. versus up here where they can't get it. And if they do, they foul you. So I think she's also going to draw a ton of fouls. I think she's going to be at the free throw line constantly. Probably maybe have a little bit of foul trouble because if you're not fully in basketball shape, and I think it's going to take her about 4 or 5 games to do it. She's in shape. Don't get me wrong. But there's difference between I'm in shape because I'm, young and I do cardio versus basketball shape. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing. Once she gets her legs underneath her, so to speak, she's going to be a force. Right next to her is Ice Brady, who had a breakout performance during last year's Big East tournament. And I know she's been working on her post moves. I know some people are really bullish on her and some people don't think that she's going to make a big leap. I technically do. She's actually a redshirt sophomore. And the crazy thing about that is she has the most experience of any of the post players in the roster. She averaged almost 18 minutes a game for last season. And this year, she'll be the cornerstone of UConn's interior presence. We're going to talk about Sarah in depth later. She may end up getting a little bit of these post minutes as well, but I'm keeping her separate right now because she's kind of like her own unicorn entity with a lot of her ability. So I think Ice is going to be a huge presence for us. She's tough. She's skilled. She's got good court awareness for a big. I think she runs the floor well. She is not afraid to mix it up. I think she's going to take on more responsibility as a leader and make sure that people are in the right spot. So that's my assessment there. Kaden Samuel will also be a part of this front court rotation, although she saw limited playing time last season, averaging about 5 points and 2 rebounds in just over 12 minutes per game. Q is working hard to increase her role. I think Geno has mentioned that she started to stand out more in the practice, and she's kicked off the season with a solid 12 points in the exhibition game. It'll be interesting to see how she develops as the season progresses. And then the freshman class, number 2 in the nation. This group was instrumental in UConn's success for years, is going to be instrumental for UConn's success for years to come. And it all starts with Sarah Strong, who we're going to have an entire segment about here in a moment. She's the number 1 recruiting in the class of 2024. Geno describes Sarah as a program-altering player, a program changer, generational talent, whatever you want to put, whatever label you want to put on her. She's fantastic. She's someone with the instincts and ability that make her feel like a seasoned pro on the court. Sarah's basketball is in her blood. Being the daughter of former WNBA All-Star Allison Feaster, her game is versatile. She can defend multiple positions, pass, score, and most importantly, impact winning in a very, very positive way. She can defend multiple positions, pass, score, and most importantly, impact winning every way possible. Geno has high expectations. We've talked about him essentially saying it's a blank canvas, kid. Just draw and draw your role, because I think that's going to be her success, not to her detriment. I think she has that type of talent. You have Ali Zybal next, or Zabal, another highly touted freshman who came in as the number 7 recruit in her class, known for her shooting. We saw a taste of that on first night. Ali backed up her reputation by winning that 3-point shootout. But also, I think the interesting thing is I love in the exhibition, I talked about this too, she's got the green light. She took 10 threes. She only made 2. I don't think Allie's going to be a 2 for 10 3-point shooter for much longer. She's a 28 per game scorer in high school. She is going to be an absolute sniper for us, and I'm looking forward to that starting tonight. Rounding out the freshman trio is Morgan Chelly. I always feel like I'm saying her name wrong, the last name. She's 6'2" guard from California who was a unanimous All-American in her senior year. Morgan has battled some lingering hamstring and quad injuries from high school, so she's had to ease into practices. But when healthy, she's shown that she has the talent to contribute on both ends of the floor. I think we're going to see a little bit of her as she's I don't know if she's on a pitch count, not something that Emily and I talked about last time she was on the show in terms of injuries. I would love to see her get in the mix more. She's definitely more of an all-around talent. She can shoot. She can play some defense. She's a little taller for a guard at 6'2", so she can play some good defense on smaller guards and kind of give that positional size that they love. I think that she's going to contribute in a major way this season. And then, unfortunately, we have to talk about some of the injuries. They're affecting UConn's roster this year. To start, Caroline Ducharme is recovering from a series of head and neck injuries. Good to see her. I think she was out on the court getting up some shots. I saw that on Emily's Twitter account. She was a top 10 recruit when she joined UConn, has shown flashes of brilliance when healthy, but right now she's really considered week to week, not day to day. Like they reevaluate every week on her injuries. We'll see. I wish her the best. I hope she can come back, but I also feel like at this point, does it make sense? Maybe she sits out as long as possible until she is absolutely sure that she can play at a high level and that she's healthy. So we'll see. I'm not a doctor. Ayanna Patterson also working her way back from surgery on a patellar tendon. She sat out last season and is currently sidelined with a shoulder injury that will keep her out for a little longer. No timetable for that. But when she's in, Yana is a powerful force in the paint. And when she's healthy, she adds great depth to the front court rotation. So with her in the mix to add that, if she's healthy, let's say by December, because we're already in the second week in November or close to it. I think when we start thinking about those tougher stretches, if she can come in and provide some minutes, some front court rotation, I think that's going to help with everybody. Finally, not finally, but we have Aubrey Griffin, who's back for her 6th year of eligibility after tearing her ACL in January. So Aubrey was averaging 9.5 points and 6 rebounds before her injury, shooting an efficient 55% from the field. Geno hopes that she'll return to action by the end of December, and her return would give a huge boost to the team's defense and rebounding. I mean, also just having that presence, that 6 years, she's been through the wars, she's had injuries. As Azzi, who we're going to talk about here in a second, she's got that trauma bonding with her teammates. I think Aubrey could be another kind of little key to the kingdom, if you will, when it comes to front court and allowing people to get some rest, and not feel like the burden is on them to do everything. Lastly, we talked about her briefly as far as being Paige's running mate this year. Azzi Fudd is working her way back as well. Definitely on a pitch count. She's playing a little 5-on-5. I heard from Emily that in practice, her injuries have limited her to just 42 games over 3 seasons, but she's determined to make an impact, and she's doing it in like a different way. There's a little more gratitude around it and understanding that, it sucks that this happened, but she's had plenty of teammates to kind of help her along the way that are going through the exact same thing. So I really think her kind of different mindset approach to this recovery process and getting herself back in shape is going to be really interesting. I think she's going to be fantastic this year. And I think they're going to do it in small doses. I think she's going to be kind of like a closer, right? You in baseball, you bring that person in to kind of shut a game down. I think she's going to be that person. And I think Geno's going to be real careful with when he strategically puts her in games. And even when she's fully healthy, I don't know if she starts, because I think it would be really cool for her to kind of have that kind of microwave off the bench to put up a bunch of points and really boost this team. Expectations for the season are obvious. All the pieces have to come together, but a title, I wouldn't say it's a failure, but it would be disappointing to have a talent like Paige Bueckers, to have a talent like Azzi Fudd, and not achieve a national title. Not to mention the number 2 recruiting class, Sarah Strong, I think is going to be dynamite this year. UConn opens their season against Boston University with the focus not only on winning, but kind of setting the tone for the season. I think this team is really hungry to add another banner, obviously, but I think it's mostly about redemption for women like Paige, Azzi, even Janelle Elfie, Aubrey, Caroline, all the ones that have had multiple injuries that are coming back. And then even someone like Caitlin, who's coming from Princeton and wants to prove that she can play on this level, at this stage, on a consistent basis. So you got that, plus Geno's commitment to excellence never wavers. This roster could be one to bring that 12th national championship to Source. And I'm here for it. It starts tonight. Let's come back and talk about Sarah Strong before we all get ready to watch that game tonight. You're locked on. Hey guys, let's be real. Sometimes life gets busy and that can impact your confidence when it comes to intimacy. But with Hims, taking care of yourself is easier than ever. Hims provides access to doctor-trusted ED treatments like chewable hard mints and even generics that are up to 95% cheaper than the name brands. The process is straightforward. Just answer a few questions online, and a medical professional will determine the right treatment for you. No waiting rooms, no uncomfortable doctor visits, just discreet, effective care delivered straight to your door. With thousands of satisfied users, Hims is trusted to help you find the ED solution that works for you. So why wait? Start your free online visit today by going to hims.com/lockedon. That's hims.com/lockedon. You're back on Locked On UConn. Want to make a quick little announcement. I saw that on today's show rundown was last night's live reaction show on the men. So I apologize. Obviously, today's the day. We talked about Paige, the freshman, guards and forwards, that rotation, and the expectations obviously being the 12th title. And last but not least, on a day full of technical difficulties, so bear with me, we're going to talk about Sarah Strong. She is one of the most exciting new faces on UConn's women's basketball rosters in years. UConn assistant coach Jamel Elliott was in a quiet back gym watching ninth graders play. She was one of the only coaches there, joined only by former UConn standout Nikisha Sales, then an assistant at UCF. And it's rare to scout players so young, but Elliott spotted something special. Strong's game stood out, and when Elliott reported back, Geno Auriemma immediately took notice, even making the trip himself to watch her play. And so before we get into some of the quotes from Geno and what he saw, everything I've talked to coaches down here, I've talked to a few scouts. Everything with Sarah is, like we talked about, basketball's in her blood. Her mom was a WNBA player. She also, and I looked this up because when I talked to some folks, the history of the family is that of excellence. You know, if you think about Allison Feaster, she not only played in the WNBA, but her father Danny played for NC State. Her mom was a WNBA player. She worked at Harvard professionally and later joined the Boston Celtics front office. So this is we talk about pedigree and who these programs want to recruit. It's not just always about who's the best player. It's, who affects winning and who can bring a level of professionalism and excellence to your program. And Sarah has all of that wrapped into one. And so back to Geno and what he described, he saw a strong natural talent, skills that most players work years to develop. And all you saw, and this is a quote from him, all you saw was this young kid who had a knack for doing the things that people have to do to learn to do. And she already had them. And that's likely because she had parents like her mom and dad who essentially were, I wouldn't say basketball savants, but, you kind of see it all the time with world-class athletes, whether, they're track and field or swimming or basketball or volleyball. A lot of times their parents were elite at that as well. And it was the way that Geno mentioned that she saw the floor, finishing around the basket, played at a pace that showed maturity beyond her years. And now Sarah is here. She wasn't the top recruit when this was happening. She wasn't even in most coaches' radars, but UConn saw her potential early and remained confident in their relationship with her, even as top programs joined the recruiting race late. Auriemma noted, "We felt like we were there at the beginning. We stayed with her through the whole time and had a great relationship with Sarah. When Strong finally committed to UConn, choosing them over Duke and UNC, it was clear that was the result of years of trust and persistence." It's interesting. I think that's what UConn has still over a lot of these programs, because Sarah could have went to Duke, she could have went to UNC and been about an hour away from her home. Her dad played for NC State. I don't remember where Allison played. I think she played at Harvard. But yeah, I mean, like, if you think about the pull of staying at home and still getting a great education and still being able to play big time college basketball, maybe not at the Mecca like UConn. So that kind of shows the length of which UConn went to kind of stay on her and really showed that they trusted that she was going to be the player she is coming into the season. Auriemma said that during her recruitment, they realized, if we get Sarah to come into our program, we will significantly change the trajectory of our program. That's how highly they regarded her. And I wonder if, I'm sure it's conveyed that way. I wonder if it's also conveyed to the parents, because let's be honest, Danny and Allison are two smart individuals who have been around the block and understand how this all works. Gotta believe that was the pitch as well. That if we get your daughter, we feel like she can significantly change the trajectory of UConn. which has won 11 national championships. That's gotta hit strong. She spent only a few weeks in stores this summer before leaving for national team duties. That gap made her feel a little missed out of bonding time with her teammates. I did read about that and also heard some of her comments that she felt like she was kind of on the outside, that, I think some of that kind of carried over to the court initially in the fall. She seemed a bit tentative, according to Geno, but the start of official practices, something has kind of changed. And I think you're going to see a locked in Sarah Strong tonight and show her true potential throughout the whole season. So as long as Geno's impressed, I'm impressed, because sometimes you wonder, about certain players. I don't wonder about Sarah. I think we can honestly say that she's going to be as impressive of a freshman that they've had. And a quote from Geno is, sometimes she thinks too much, but his goal is to get her to play more instinctively, to let her natural ability shine without overthinking. I think it's probably a product of being too smart. And sometimes ignorance is bliss, as they say, right? Sarah's versatility is her strength. She's got an all-around skill set and makes her uniquely capable of adapting to whatever UConn needs. And it's why she reminds Auriemma of another generational talent, Paige Bueckers. Unlike Bueckers, though, who had to carry the team from the moment she arrived, Strong has the luxury of learning from her in her first year. So Auriemma believes this pairing could create that dynamic duo that UConn has missed in recent years. He sees a special connection developing between Paige and Sarah on the court, and that could help lift UConn to another national championship. Enough talk from me about games that are about to be played. We have a game tonight. If I can do a live reaction show tonight, I will. So look for that. Those aren't always going to be after games, just because I have young kids that take up a lot of my time, especially if my wife works tonight. You will find out about that as time goes on. So UConn remains a powerhouse and possibly could potentially be a historic season for them. Not only with Geno winning win number 12, 14, I believe is the number to get over the top, but also raising that unprecedented 12th banner. We'll see. Starts tonight. This is today's episode of Locked On UConn. I'm your host, Mark Zanetto, asking you to stay locked on, stay connected, and to remember it's not just about getting it done. It's about doing it in a way that it can't be done any better. That's the goal, our goal every day. It's been the goal for 40 years for Geno Auriemma and Chris Daly and their staff. Thank you to all. And as always, go Huskies.